He was a Humvee mechanic. And Casey said, "Where my chief goes, I go." And he knew what had to be done. He died in his best friend's arms in Iraq. I imagined it would have hurt if one of my kids was killed, but I never thought it would hurt this bad.
A speech by Cindy SHEEHAN, whose son Casey was killed in action in Iraq on April 4, 2004.
I said to my son not to go. I said, "You know it's wrong. You know you are going over there. You know your unit might have to kill innocent people. You know you might die." And he says, "My buddies are going. If I don't go, my buddies will be in danger." 30 of our bravest young men have already died this month, and it's only the 5th of August. So you can imagine, every day, the grieving parents that have lost. I don't like to use that word. The parents whose child was murdered. It's extremely difficult. You can't even get a small scab on our wound.
Because every day it's ripped open. So anyway, when that filth spewer and warmonger George Bush was speaking after the tragedy of the Marines in Ohio, he said a couple of things that outraged me. Seriously, outraged me.
So anyways, when that filth spewer and warmonger George Bush was speaking after the tragedy of the Marines in Ohio, he said a couple of things that outraged me, seriously outraged me. George Bush was talking, and he never mentioned the terrible incident of those Marines. But he did say that the families of the ones who have been killed can rest assured that their loved ones died for a noble cause.
He also said, he says this often, and this really drives me crazy. He said that we have to stay in Iraq and complete the mission to honor the sacrifices of the ones who have fallen. And I say, why should I want one more mother to go through what I've gone through?
He also said, he says this often, this really drives me crazy. He said that we have to stay in Iraq and complete the mission to honor the sacrifices of the ones who have fallen. And I say, why should I want one more mother to go through what I've gone through because my son is dead? You know what? The only way he can honor my son's sacrifice is to bring the rest of our troops home. To make my son's death count for peace and love.
Because my son is dead. You know what? The only way he can honor my son's sacrifice is to bring the rest of our troops home. To make my son's death count for peace and love. I don't want him using my son's death or my family's sacrifice to continue the killing.
And I just had this brainstorm. I'm going to Crawford. I don't know where Crawford is, but I don't care. I'm going. And I'm going to go. And I'm going to tell them, you get that evil maniac out here, because a Gold Star mother, someone whose son's blood is on his hands, has questions for him.
I don't know where Crawford is, but I don't care. I'm going.
And I'm going to say, okay, listen here, George. Number one, I demand every time you spew that filth that you're continuing the killing in Iraq to honor my son's sacrifice, honoring the fallen heroes by continuing the mission, you say, accept Casey SHEEHAN.
You don't have permission to use my son's name. And I'm going to say, and you tell me what the noble cause is that my son died for. And even if he starts to say freedom and democracy, I'm going to say bullshit. You tell me the truth. You tell me that my son died for oil. You tell me that my son died to make your friends rich. You tell me my son died so you can spread the cancer of Pax Americana, imperialism in the Middle East.
So anyways, I'm going to Crawford tomorrow. And I'm going to say, get George here. And if they say, no, he's not coming out, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put my tent here and I'm staying until he comes and talks to me. You get America out of Iraq, you get Israel out of Palestine, and you'll stop the terrorism. And if you think I won't say bullshit to the president, then you're wrong, because I'll say what's on my mind.
And another thing that I'm doing is, my son was killed in 2004, so I'm not paying my taxes for 2004. And I tell everybody that if I get a letter from the IRS, I'm going to say, you killed my son for this, I don't owe you anything. I live in Vacaville, California. If you can find me there, come and get me and put me on trial. It's up to us, as moral people, to break immoral laws.
And resist. As soon as the leaders of a country lie to you, they have no authority over you. These maniacs have no authority over us. And they might be able to put our bodies in prison.
But they can't put our spirits in prison. When I was growing up, it was communists. Now it's terrorists. So you always have to have somebody that's our enemy to be afraid of.
So the war machines can build more bombs and guns and bullets and everything. But I see hope.
But I do see hope. I see hope in this country. 58% of the American public are with us. We're preaching to the choir.
But not everybody in the choir is singing. And if all 58%